As a reminder, do not rest the Mechagodzilla on the hands. Don't push it down into the table on the hands. Be very mindful of that because this connection here is not meant to have lateral forces applied to it. It's just there to spin them. It's not a connection that you'll want to put any pressure on. Alright, so let's install the Mechagodzilla in a Pro machine. You should have already watched the video on installing it in a premium or an LE machine. Many of the steps are the same as far as the wiring goes, but there's a little bit of a difference in mounting the figure, so we'll take a look at that first. Starting, you're going to need to unplug this plug here. It's a 2-pin connector coming out of the rectangle there. It's for the light that's behind the Mechagodzilla. And so just undo that connector and ignore the fact that I already have the Mechagodzilla installed on here, so you won't have this cable coming down. And let's take a look at the top of the playfield. So like I said, you'll have this smaller Mechagodzilla figure installed on your game, and we just need to take off the plastic that it's sitting on. So there are 3 screws, or 3 nuts, one here at the front, and one right back there. You can see the nuts on that one, and then one right there. So just remove those 3 screws, and then you'll be able to pull this whole assembly out, and it will pull that cord that's attached to the light out as well. So now that you have the plastic out of the game, you'll have your original figure attached to the bracket here, and it just lifts off. You may need to wiggle it back and forth, but what happens is it comes off of this grouping of these 2 black metal pieces with the ridges on them. That's what's holding the figure on originally. So you'll just pull it off of that, and it'll be removed, and you're ready to install the animated Mechagodzilla. So now it's time to cut the plastic to make a hole for the wiring harness for the Mechagodzilla figure. And you can sort of get an idea of where it needs to go based on this view right here. This does not need to be precise. It just needs to be big enough to fit this connector through. And even with that connector, you can bend it to the side and slide it right through. So the hole only has to be big enough to fit that. My hole is approximately 30 millimeters by 10 millimeters, and it's about 10 millimeters back from these rivets. So that should give you an idea of where to place that hole. It will be hidden by the figure. You won't ever know it's there, so don't worry about making it perfect. I used a Dremel tool with a metal cutoff blade and cut out the hole that way, and used a grinding bit to just make it a nice smooth surface. So hopefully that gives you enough information to cut that hole out. And then what you're going to want to do is take the screw provided and start threading it through the 2 holes in the metal brackets. This is what it will look like. So the screw is just going through the 2 holes on the bracket and just sticking out a little bit. Now we're going to place the figure on the plastic, placing the wire connector through the hole, and then placing the figure onto the bracket. We'll give you a good view of that here. So the black metal pieces and the screw are going to come up through this hole in the bottom of the Mechagodzilla figure. And you'll just need to sort of angle it and get it over that hole. You might need to turn it sideways just a little bit to get the screw to fit through that. There, let's see. Let's sort of see it. And you just, have to mess with it just a little bit to get it to sit down on top of that. So that's what I have now. It's the Mechagodzilla sitting on the plastic, and the black pieces with the screw are sitting right there in front of, if you can see, that metal, the metallic colored post that's sticking up there with the hole in it. You're going to want to line the screw up with that hole and then screw the screw into the plastic. It'll take a little bit of effort since it's creating threads as you're putting it through the plastic, but shouldn't be too difficult. Just, again, hold the figure so it's not resting on its hands. That's very important. And screw that screw in. So once you have it screwed in, it should look like this, going through the plastic and holding the Mechagodzilla figure right on to the plastic. Okay. Then you want to just feed the wiring harness down through the hole you created, and you'll be ready to install in your game. installation for the most part at this point is just reversing the process to get this piece of plastic back on the game. You'll now need to push both the 2-pin connector and the Mechagodzilla connector down through this rectangular hole to plug them in on the underside of the playfield. So this is what that should look like. And then you'll just put the entire assembly back in place, making sure that the wires go straight down through the hole there. Line back up those nuts and secure them, and then we'll look at the bottom of the playfield. So by now you should have watched the premium installation video, and that should give you a good idea of how to install these node boards with the Ethernet cables. There's one up here as well. On your game, there are only 2 different node boards to install. The double one here, and the single one up at the top of the playfield, which I guess is actually the bottom of the playfield. You're going to route those wires just like is shown in the premium LE installation, and those wires are going to want to come, those Ethernet cables are going to come down here to this area of the game. There is not a set of holes to install the bracket to. You're going to create your own holes with these 2 screws that are provided. It doesn't matter exactly where you mount it. You can see where mine's mounted, just in the center of that blank area there. You'll connect all the wires just like is shown in the premium installation, and make sure that you connect the Mecha, and make sure you put the 2-pin connector back together for the light that's there. And that's basically the install.